So welcome to our podcast. My name is Reyes Poetry, and this is...
I'm Xavier. I go by Barely Hispanic on the internet. So.
Yeah, and this is a series that we're doing in partnership with the Hollywood Casino at Greektown. And we want to highlight artists that are involved, engaged with Backwoods and Bonfires for this part of the series, as well as working on their way down to South by Southwest. And we have an amazing performer and artist with us. And he is somebody that is close to us, is one of our friends, one of our collective members. And so part of the series is just us talking with our friends about music, art, culture, kind of like the way the city is moving and what we're doing. So let's welcome my brother TommyPAPI. You feel me?
Thank you guys. I appreciate
it. How you doing,
it.
bro? How you doing?
I'm doing good. It feels great. I mean, beautiful views and just great people, you know?
Yeah, and we're on the 28th floor, and you come up here and you don't even know this space.
28?
It's very vertigo inducing. It's like, it's very cute, and then you get close, and you're like, oh, I'm getting dizzy.
When you think about it, it's only like this little glass that's like...
yeah. Intrusive thoughts be going crazy. I'm like, how many backflips could I do?
My thing is, I think about, could I drop kick Tommy through this window?
If I rolled, would I, make it? I just did, an action roll, you know?
Hey, so, let's talk about music a little bit, right? Tell us a little bit about the music that you're creating in this current kind of time in your life. What would you describe your music as?
Definitely. So when I started out, I was just going through heartbreak, trying to figure it out, the whole thing. So it was a lot of
sad boy.
Very much sad boy.
Just professionally sad.
Yeah, of course. So now that we'll say work through, but you know.
It's a process. It all takes time. Yeah.
And
where are you going with this, bro?
He's like, I'm still depressed. Like right now, I'm still sad.
But and the time now, I've especially since touring last year with you guys and the whole thing, I've realized what it means to do commercial music and how the importance of it, the value of it, and I also want to stay true to myself doing it. So I've really taken a step into my Latino roots, Afro-Latino, Black and Colombian.
Yeah, so talk about that. What's your background?
So my dad is Black. He's from Detroit. My family's been on West Grand Boulevard most of their life, and my mom was from Colombia, and she's
really from Colombia.
Yeah, she's from Cali, Colombia.
Yeah, it was the mira for sure, bro. Yeah.
She came in through Florida, and then
that's like for real. Yeah. That's a real that's an immigrant story. You know what I'm saying? Florida is like the gateway between the U.S. and Latin America. That's just that's where everyone's origin story fucking begins.
Hey, that's like the non-Mexican story.
Right, that's true. That's
Texas, it might be different.
Right. It's like Texas, it's like Florida, and then it's like New York. These are the three.
Why New York?
That's
I think people just fly there on their on their visa.
It's the biggest city they know. Yeah. That's really
I mean, we're talking about shit we don't know about. Anyway, continue with your story.
So just to give a little bit more background, my mom and dad met each other through the phone. They had
what?
And that was whatever, I don't even know, 70s, 60s, whatever.
I'm like, damn, what kind of phone call was this?
So, of course. I can only imagine what the conversation was. My dad was, laying down major.
Yeah, he rizzed her up crazy. You wouldn't exist if they hadn't talked on the phone. That's nuts.
Shout out.
Imagine if it was 200 years earlier and they had to use, pigeons.
Oh, yeah. He's, writing letters. He's like, she ain't respond. God.
The scroll. Oh, my God, that's so good.
Motherfucker got smoke signals and shit. He's just trying to get her attention.
Anyway, fast forward. I visited to Colombia many times in my life until COVID.
So you have visited Colombia, huh?
Yes, I love it there.
Okay.
They always ask me to
They're like, hey, can you do us a favor when you go back? We have some stuff. Do you have a carry-on or anything?
Bro, I can't.
They're talking about coffee. Coffee.
Oh,
Yeah. No,
Very
for sure,
good
totally.
coffee.
Yeah.
Speaking of coffee, let me take a sip. Continue.
So I visited there multiple times in my childhood. Unfortunately, COVID, I couldn't make it because obviously everything shut down. I haven't been back since, but I've got family over there, and I want to go back as soon as
What'd
possible.
you say? A culture creator trip?
I mean,
I did hear that. I did hear that.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's 2024, 2025.
Yeah, well,
right?
that's what I heard.
Yeah, Latin America, Caribbean.
Yeah.
It's that time of year. It's that time of year.
So how has some of that, being black, and obviously you can be black and Latino, right? But like having this African American experience and this Latin American experience, how does that shape your music?
Well, it definitely. I'm really grateful to my dad because he gave me a lot of Motown when I was growing up, and I was exposed to that, and I didn't realize the value of it then. Of course, I'm like 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever the hell, but I realized how important it was for the culture back then and how it's still developing now, even though it's had its roots and it's brought out a bunch of different venues and all things like that, but having to know that that's part of my culture, part of my history, part of everything, and then tying it with my Colombian side as well, it just makes you want to make music that for either both sides or just everyone that can understand that struggle of like trying to fit both sides, be one side, and just be in touch with their culture, things like that. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, it's like still a journey for me, obviously, because I'm visiting, but I wasn't born there, so I still want to connect and be like a passenger for other people's as well. But I think that once you start that journey, I think that it's really one of the most beautiful things to get connected to your roots, and I want to do that through my music.
That's dope.
Yeah, I'm curious how because I think it's easy to. There's the Latino experience in Detroit, and then there's the black experience in Detroit, and there's a lot of similarities and there's a lot of overlap, but it's also very easy to live one without ever seeing or experiencing the other. So I'm curious, how you feel that experience of kind of being between those two worlds. Again, just even as an artist, in terms of the kinds of events that maybe you're performing at or the people that are booking you, what's it like getting to kind of experience and walk between both? So
it's funny because, growing up, I wasn't as in tune as I was. Obviously there was one side Latino, one side black, but when I go to events, let's say it's a majority black event, R&B, hip hop, whatever the case may be, and I walk in, they look a little confused, what are you doing here? Because I guess I don't present as black or Latino sometimes. Well, now I do my longer hair, but when I go
Chaldean.
Very much so.
Yeah. And in Detroit, that's a pretty common community, so you would see Chaldean folks at our stuff.
Oh yeah, they're like cousin. I'm like, no.
not wrong. Close, but I don't own a gas station. I promise. I don't
Yeah. So they get a look, but then when I just talk to them, they understand. Oh, you at least know to a point that you've been around the culture enough. You have a grasp that most people that just from maybe Metro Detroit North or whatever the case, they wouldn't know unless they've been around those communities, if that makes sense. So it's like an entry point. There's still questions to see how far it is. I think it is, but I don't let it bother me because I think I'd be the same way. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just you don't know these days with a lot of people in the community because I think that when you're one side, it's which one do you choose? They want you to choose, but it's gonna be just, I think internally it should be, I'm just me. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm black, I'm Latino, I'm TommyPAPI, I am just who I am.
So so we met while we were creating. we met. We met the official story. We met. We met. Organizing Cinco de Mayo, right?
Yeah.
And I think obviously for us, you've been a blessing in our work and the stuff we're trying to do. Tell us a little bit about maybe your experience in the Latino community and in those spaces as an artist as well, right? What is that? Because you're not really, you didn't grow up in Southwest, right? But you spend a lot of time in proximity, and a lot of your group that you work with and build with is in Southwest. So how was that experience on that side of things? Because you speak Spanish, you actually perform in Spanish, so what is that like?
Honestly, weirdest thing that I feel like Southwest has been the most welcoming like community of all time to me.
Yeah.
It's only because of the Spanish heritage and all things like that. And I wasn't expecting that. I just kind of stumbled in and just kind of been stumbling around.
What year was that like when you really first started coming around Southwest?
2021.
So it's pretty recent.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean,
Okay.
the thing was is that I grew up in Detroit, and but the thing is, I didn't know it was Southwest. I was always at fucking Dooley's. I was always there with my dad and shit like that. But I didn't know the importance of it.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to like know of it or even be in those areas, but then the actual, which this brings me to something I want to ask you about. But like, I think it's easy to be places and not be familiar with like the community or like the scene of that area. And I'm curious because I know that you're like, when I say chronically online, I don't mean that. I don't mean that I'm not insulting you as another chronically online person. But yeah. Like,
y'all be online a lot, bro.
like admittedly, I'm
thing.
on the internet. I'm on the internet a lot. But you know, I mean, you're very active. I think you're very like kind of like internet, social media, like forward. Like I see the stuff that you do on Twitch and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious, like, because Detroit still feels like a very like in-person city. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I think a lot of us like get connected through the internet, but like nothing happens until you've like been in the same space as someone. And I'm just curious, like, I don't know, because I feel like that's hard for an artist because your brain is like, you got to be on the internet. You got to do everything online. And then you're in this city that's in this weird place where, like, no, you got to show up, too. Or else you'll just never know that, like, Southwest is a community besides, like, you know, the stuff you see, you know. I'm curious how that's been for you. Like, do you feel like a pressure to be in person more than online, definitely. Or like find some balance between the two?
I had a really unique blessing where I started off everything online in the beginning. I don't seem it, but I'm very introverted. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. But like you
seem like a nerd. No,
all introverts are nerds.
You're amongst us. You're with us.
Yeah, of course. But that position of like working online gave me, I think, an entry point into going in person because they're like, oh, you're doing something different, I guess, if that makes sense. And I was scared shitless, I'm not going to lie, because I didn't know. I never did a performance. I never even practiced. I was just making music because I loved it. And doing my first events made me realize the importance of being in person, I think. You know what I mean? I think that I feel a loyalty to my online communities that I'm part of. Like, it's national in a way that it's not like a huge deal, but it's like if I were ever to like connect with them, I'd be able to hang out with them and do a performance with them, which is nice. But it's so weird that like being here, there's so many connections that have like we're here right now. You know what I mean? Like this wouldn't happen online. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's very like in the moment. Kind of stuff.
I think it helped me garner that loyalty to people and the importance of connection. But I think that in person really gives you the value of working on yourself, independence, and the value of collectives and just group work.
Yeah, and one thing I will say like about like real community stuff, right? Like we one of the things with myself and Barely Hispanic is we really try to also delve beyond the music, right? Because like there's people behind the music. You have music and you have the artists and you kind of have the image, for lack of a better word. Yeah. But I know that you've done cleanups, right? Yes. And you've done some food pantry work.
Yes.
So tell us about like why are you driven to do that, right? Because like, I mean, there's so many people in need, and we kind of just are able to just walk by them in the street and not really pay attention.
And also just a lot of people don't. Like a lot of people just don't, like aren't, you know, involved in any capacity.
So tell us about that work. Like what are you doing? Like why did you kind of get STEM to do that? The cleanup and you know the food drive.
Yeah. So for me, it's the weirdest thing, I guess. I had a moral problem with spending money in the way of like promoting myself, and I had no form because I started that in 2020 when I first started doing music. It was part of a promo project to my second EP, How to Build a Home. So I was like, let's build a home for our communities and all things like that. And then it just felt right because I felt guilty about trying to, like, if I wanted to get a billboard. I mean, I didn't have the access to do that or anything like that, but like I felt better about using positivity to promote, and then instead of like throwing racks or, you know, things like that. And I had questions about it to myself throughout the years, but at the end of the day, every time I do it, I feel really great, and it gives me some sort of self-assurance, and it kind of, I use it as like to keep myself in check of like, what do I want and how I want to present myself to people. But then it gives me also like a hunger more, because I'm like, this isn't like doing anything enough, you know what I mean? It's just like the tiniest thing, but it's one of the most important things that I think that I have to keep doing, because I want to keep helping people in some sort of capacity, and that's my reason I do music. I want people to relate to something that makes them, if they're in a bad time. That's why at least when I started. Now I want to make something that makes them feel good, if that makes sense. So just want to change everything towards the positive and pushing upwards, helping community instead of like in self-indulgence, all the whatever you could think of.
Yeah, all the stuff that comes with the music industry side, right?
Which I'm still gonna do.
That's what I'm saying. There has to be like some semblance of balance. I think too much of obviously, like, too much of helping people, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But, like, you know, too much of the other thing. Yeah, too much of the other thing is tough. So, you know, I think having that balance and, like, that consideration is definitely an important thing.
I appreciate it. It's hard, but it's worth it, I think.
Yeah, and I think, like, we are culture creators, we always say more than music, and that's part of the balance, right? Is, like, understanding why we do music, what role it fills. But then we also are in reality, bro. Like, we're in the music industry. There's so many different elements. So tell us, has there ever been something in the music kind of side of things since you started that maybe was a little bit disillusional, maybe not a good experience? You don't got to get into the details and say names unless you want to say names, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, is there anything that like you felt maybe was a difficult process for you to like specifically related to like music and industry kind of?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, sorry.
You good?
I got so into
like,
it.
no,
You got emotional, bro. You about to be like,
he was like, there are no cameras. There is no microphone.
For me, I think that one of the hardest parts was realizing that there's a difference between community and people who are trying to make their means, and I want to say it in the like, and trying to put it in a positive way.
That was like the nicest way.
You're such a politician, bro.
God damn, I'm voting for you. Like I'm writing your name.
Bro.
That was the nicest way I've ever.
Well, come on, bro.
Yeah, call him clout chasing. Or something. You gotta go into it. You gotta just go.
And start naming names, drop the Instagrams, the links.
Yep.
Are y'all fucking?
Yep, they know who they are, and if they didn't, they just weren't smart enough to understand that you were still insulting them a little bit. You know what I mean?
This is why we had a 9-month podcast that never came out. So go ahead.
So, yeah, the difference in those is that, especially with the work that we've done, culture creators, like the workshops that you gotta do, is like that's such a like engaging community, giving value to people, and also adding to the collective, adding to things, and that's like one of the most powerful things I've seen. And then I've seen on the like when I try to like dabble in the modeling world, they'll be like $40 to tell you, hey, you've got to work on your walk and you've got to do, you know what I mean? Like there's no value to that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that the power of like having those workshops and having community work that involves people gives them security of like knowledge, and also just the belief that they can do it. You know what I mean? That's one of the most important things that I think that I've seen in culture creators work, and anyone else who's doing community work like that.
Yes. So part of that, right? Let's talk about a little bit about your experience. We don't have to get into like details about how you feel about culture creators because it's dope, But one of the things that we did, and you did as somebody participating, is went to Europe, right? Yeah. We're talking about right now taking this trip to South by Southwest, which Hollywood Casino here at Greektown, you know what I'm saying, is supporting, and I think those experiences of traveling for young creatives, can you tell us, what is the value to you, right, as a personal, like, kind of experience as an artist, and, like, just tell, like, us a little bit about somebody who was, performing music kind of like in your scene, being able to go overseas, right, and visit 6 or 7, have 6 or 7 shows, or maybe 10 shows. I don't remember how many shows it was. Tell us a little bit about that experience, bro.
Oh my God. One of the greatest.
Hey, so when you got invited, how did it feel?
I was like, what? Like, really? I was not expecting that. And I'm eternally grateful. It honestly was one of the best experiences of my life, but it was also one of the hardest experiences also, having to travel on the move, singing. And I lost my voice because we were going so hard, and it was so good. But And the thing was that like it gave me such a self-confidence. Like if I've got these, there's like a video I have where I like jump off the stage and then I'm like putting a lot of passion into like my song, and everyone just like rocking, having a good time. And then like if that can happen overseas, that can happen anywhere in Detroit. You know, it gave me that confidence that I'm like, this is all my worry is such a small speck of what I really thought it was. You know what I mean? And I think that coming back, it made me realize the importance of training, of being on top commercial. You know, it was all things that I developed that I don't think I would have been able to see if I didn't go there. You know what I mean? I matured. I really truly believe it.
There's also just an egolessness to that kind of travel, and also like that kind of exposure. You know what I mean? Like I think even stuff like this, like being in a room here, like down in Greektown, it's very nice. Yeah. Being treated very well. Yes. I think that kind of experience, like, assures you that it's possible, and also not only that it's possible, but that it's possible, like, to do it and be who you are, and then also be around other people that like are like you or from places that you're from. You know what I mean? Gosh, I think that's like, I think that's the secret work of all of that kind of stuff, of the travel, of the workshops, etc. Is just like showing people that like, one, it's possible, but also that it's possible by people like you. You know? Definitely. Yeah.
I think that also that on that point is that like, I feel like I always wonder if I'm doing the right thing. You know what I mean? If I'm doing the right moves or whatever. Like, it's the whole imposter syndrome that I'm sure every artist, you know what I mean? Like, and when I come into these rooms and I see these opportunities, and I don't even realize the influence or the fucking momentum. Sorry, am I allowed to cuss?
We are now.
Okay.
That's the producers.
That people see, and that have pushed me in these directions because of the people that I've been around. And it's like, hey, like, you're doing a good job. Look at where you're at. Like, it's like a moment of like, oh, okay, this is the right thing. This is the right place that I'm supposed to be at, and I should keep doing what I'm doing. I should stop worrying about it. I should just keep creating, keep doing, keep moving, all the things like that.
Yeah, I mean, as a creative myself too, right? Like, we all have that doubt, and I think sometimes there's those moments of reassurance, and it's fleeting. Yeah. You know, even for me seeing you perform in Europe, you know, stepping back, and sometimes I can take myself out of the equation because I can step back and just enjoy it. You know, that was really powerful for me. And for you, what was the, I guess, like the most impactful, or maybe just not even impactful, bro? Just what show did you enjoy? You know, and tell us a little bit why you were out there. Because we did Berlin, we did Paris, London. Yeah, so I think what was the most, like, for you, like, when you were in the moment, like, you talk about you jumped off stage, but like, where was that at? What city? Where were you? Like, what was the context?
Oh my God, there was I just started doing it after the last like couple shows, and that was just I low key really hit my knee one time.
So that's why you said you gotta come back, start training.
It was honestly the last Berlin show was like it was one of the most meaningful ones because all the people from scene team, and just having that momentum of just like all the hard work we did over those past 10 days, album wise, performance wise, and it was just everyone just so happy, and it was like bittersweet. You know what I mean? It was very emotional. I think a lot of people were crying at the end of their sets and stuff like that, and I was like almost there, but. I can't show it. There was.
I'm curious, like, in terms of, because again, like, you know, you and I haven't known each other that long, but I think we've gotten to know each other like pretty well. Definitely. You know, recently, especially like with the trip and everything. And I feel like even from like the first time I've seen you perform, I think you've always had like a really strong like presence and a really good energy, and I've only seen that, you know, grow and evolve like with experience.
Thank you.
So I'm curious, you know, coming back from Europe, and obviously like I think the winter's difficult. Like I think it's hard for people to keep up the energy and the motivation. Like it's cold. It's fucking cold. No one wants to. I don't want to look good and like try. You know what I mean? But like, you know, the weather's breaking. There's stuff on the schedule. South by. There's stuff like this happening. I'm curious, like. What's the stuff obviously that you're looking forward to that's coming up, and also like what are the ways that you're trying to like to elevate? Like what are the goals? What are the things you're trying to improve for those things that are coming up on the calendar?
Definitely. So I have a lot of exciting new projects that I'm doing. I'm trying to transition into a Spanish artist because I've only been a feature on it, and I perform a lot of Spanish songs, but they're very unreleased, and I'm like tinkering, getting features, trying to do what makes sense and all things like that. But I am low-key working to do some marketing over in Mexico, and I'm trying to do some in Colombia. And I'm trying to get the project dropped and trying to hit those charts over there.
And you're also on the way to Dominican Republic.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I didn't know we were...
Yeah, we letting it out. Yeah, we letting people know.
Also in the Dominican Republic. And a lot of exciting things are happening for me, but the thing is that I've realized the importance of every move counts that I want to put out there. So especially after such an influential trip like Europe and we're about to do South by, I want to make sure that whatever I drop is at its top quality and also just at the right timing, if that makes sense. So preparing all the videos, everything like that. And I'm a nerd about promotion, as I'm sure you guys know. Yeah. So this is like the second favorite part, obviously, by making the music is like doing the promo and the artists, things of like that. But hanging around, some people have taught me the value of the art eye and like how to elevate. Like I was like doing the bare minimum, if that makes sense. And I'm like, oh, I'm allowed to do more. I'm allowed to actually care about that. So
yeah, and it's difficult sometimes. Like coming from our friend set and community, there's so much insecurity, and then let's say even talking about like masculine energy, what you can do, what you can wear, what color scheme, like any of those things with design. But just tell us, obviously Hollywood Casino here at Greektown is supporting us going to South by Southwest, as well as our sponsor Chillbean, who has these amazing seats which you'll see all over South by Southwest.
Do we have one?
We do have one. We'll get one in a minute. Okay. I want to blow it up, but I feel like it's a lot of energy. So so like they got these cool bags, and these are really cool seats.
Yeah, I mean, also like you've never been to South. Have you been to South? No,
that was my first time.
Okay, yeah, it's. I mean, anyone that's ever been to any kind of festival or anything where you're like walking around a lot, like you're fucking exhausted.
That's what get you a seat.
Yeah, I would rob a small child for the opportunity to fucking sit down to whatever. You get what I'm saying. If you're one of those people, you'll know, you'll learn.
Okay.
You'll learn. You'll go and you're like.
There's only 200 venues to pick.
Yeah, yeah. You've been walking for like days and miles, and you're like, why? I'm gonna pass out.
A band or some shit.
So tell us, like just in closing out, tell us a little bit about your expectation. What are you gonna take there? Do you have a new performance? I know there's something we have locked in for the 15th, right?
Yep.
We're gonna be doing a culture house, basically in partnership with the casino here, Hollywood Casino at Greektown, Chillbean, Broken Blanket, Backwoods and Bonfires. We have a showcase. We have the Culture House that will be there, Fiesta House. So what are you participating in, and what are you taking there? You have anything new, any music? Like, what are you thinking about?
I'm going to be doing the unreleased Spanish project that I'm doing, that I was talking about.
Okay.
I'm going to try and sprinkle in some old songs too, but I've been really focused on trying to really tack down that Spanish part. But I'm at a crossroads right now where I'm like, I feel like I don't want to be only that as well. I want to be able to make what I want. But I think a really good artist, Kali Uchis, is like able to just bounce between those, and I want to be like that, if that makes sense. But it's kind of hard to see that vision right now, but that's like the plan, if that makes sense. But when it comes to South by Southwest, I think that I just want to be able to experience for the first time, being able to just the hustle. Like, I mean, it feels like what my expectation is like. How was Europe? We're just like moving. We're on the move. We're trying to get to the shows, all this shit like that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I gotta watch that.
It's fine, bro. We see, like, it seems like we just talking without cameras, and that's dangerous. But it's just like we friends, right? We just having a chat. That's the problem with Xavier and me doing shows is like you just feel like you're having a conversation.
They bring it up.
Having a conversation, and you're like, oh yeah, there's all these cameras.
It's like, it's been recorded. I need to apply to jobs. My social media is public. Oh, right.
Digital footprint is real.
Oh,
So let us know, let people know where to find you, bro. Where can we find your work, your art, you know?
Yeah,
and,
what are you doing next?
What are you doing?
Okay, so follow me on Instagram, everything TommyPAPI. My website, www.com.
Wait, do people got a website still?
It's just
www.tommypapi.com.
www.com. That's the sickest website.
Yo, I want that website.
I'll
Look
give
it
you
up,
$1
look it
million.
up now. I want that website.
I'll
Look
give
it up
you-
now. He said www.com.
You got the first website. Tommy has the first.
Yo, you was -3 when you got that website.
Gotta do some trademark work.
Yeah. Tommy was like Al Gore when
All
you
right,
make the internet.
so where we find you? Where do we find you?
TommyPAPI on everything, TommyPAPI.com. Also, up next is a project dropping May 11th, and I'm very excited. Just shooting some music videos, and it's going to be ready.
Cool.
I'm
Well,
excited.
thank you for being
Yeah,
on
of
our
course.
podcast. You
Thanks
know,
for coming
for
by.
having me.
we're on the 28th floor, this beautiful suite
Oh my God.
with Hollywood Casino at Greektown. Thank you to Chillbean. Thank you to Broken Blanket, Backwoods and Bonfires,
Of course.
South by Southwest. You know, I'm your host, Reyes Poetry. This is our other host over here. I'll say your name, Barely Hispanic, a.k.a. Xavier, a.k.a. We have a lot of AKAs. Anyway, yo, thank y'all.
Gonna take so many selfies.